Hey everybody, welcome into this edition of the Top 5 from Tony's Spot on Fishing. I'm your host, Tony Krizak, and this time around we are getting ready for the Fall King Salmon Run. It's going to be here before we know it. Couple great moon phases in August. If we can just get some west winds, it's shaping up to be golden. So let's count down our top 5 picks for the Southern Wisconsin locations you should be checking out this year for some Fall King Salmon action. The first spot we're going to talk about is the Root River in Racine, Wisconsin. It's about a 2-hour ride from the Chicagoland area. Now, while Southern Wisconsin harbors heat up first, the Root is going to be much later on into the run. This is pretty much where they're going to go in Racine to actually spawn. So, late in the run, we're going to actually want to be doing nothing but fish and spawn in the Root. It's pretty shallow water anyway, so it's going to be hard to throw spoons and crankbaits and things like that in there. And plus, our best option is the spawn. Make sure you catch a couple females at least, lakeside and some of the other locations we're going to talk about, so you have plenty of spawn. Whether you fish it fresh or you cure it, it's just got to be the real deal. The store-bought jar stuff just won't cut it. It's that simple. So make sure you have some of that and get out there late in the year and float some spawn. It does get a tremendous amount of fishing pressure, which can make it a little bit challenging with a lot of lines in the water, but it's always a great way to extend that Fall King run. Now, the next place we're going to talk about is probably the first location that really starts to heat up king-wise within a reasonable distance of a drive from Chicagoland. And that's Port Washington, about 2.5 hours or so from Chicago. It's north of Milwaukee, and like I said, really the first harbor that catches fire. Fish the outer breakwalls for those early kings. Also, I'll tell you what, if you want to extend your salmonoid season, this is a place to do it. Later into the fall and through the winter months even, there's a power plant discharge that flows through there, and it'll keep water moving and keep it a little bit warmer once water temps severely drop on the big lake. And we'll be able to catch browns and cohos and steelhead and younger kings all winter long out there, or at least all late fall, early winter long out there. And it is a blast. Great way to extend your season. Just have to be careful, of course, once guides start freezing up and things of that nature, that we're not going to be busting our gear up. But, man, it's a lot of fun. Port Washington definitely has to be on your list to hit this year. Good old Milwaukee, about 2 hours from Chicago, offers quite a few great spots for fishing. South Shore Park, Lakeshore State Park, Veterans Park, and of course, McKinley Marina. We can fish those outer breakwalls, throw in our spoons and crankbaits there, and then once those fish enter on the inside, great place to be fishing some spawn, floating spawn under a float. I have a buddy of mine who's been out there these last couple of years fishing the Kings, and my goodness, the numbers and size he's been catching out of Milwaukee. It's been a few years since I've fished it myself personally, but seeing how he's done out there these last couple of years, trust me, Milwaukee is on my list to hit again this year. The next harbor we're talking about is probably the most famous location for southern Wisconsin, and that's Kenosha. Now, it's about an hour and a half, hour and 3/4, maybe, depending on how you're driving and where you're coming from the Chicagoland area. Probably the easiest drive of all these areas we've talked about so far. And it's nice because if you're coming after work, you can, on a weeknight, you'd be able to fish it, no problem, get back home, get some rest, and then go to work the next day. If you start a little later at your job, you can fish it in the morning before you go to work. It's not a bad drive at all. So it's a great location that we can hit and still continue our other responsibilities throughout the week. Celebration Park, Harbor Park, and a lot of those breakwalls, again, offer those great fishing opportunities in Kenosha. Always produces fish, good quality fish, good numbers, and even though it is probably one of the more popular locations and gets fished the most, it still produces and definitely should be on your list to hit. Well, here we go. Number 1 pick time. 2 hours from Chicagoland, it is Racine. People always ask me, Tone, if you can pick one spot to fish kings, where are you going? Where are you going around Chicagoland to fish these king salmon? And my answer has always been the same for the last 20 years, and that is Racine. Two great areas make this such a phenomenal area to fish kings. Those outer breakwalls of the harbor, the entrance to the Root River area, good deep water, and near the mouth of the harbor is a good deep hole. And these fish will stage. They come in, they'll stack up, and they stage there. It's kind of like fishing a barrel. And then once they go inside the harbor, they're going to stage again in that whole stretch before they enter the Root River. Now, how long they stay there kind of depends on water levels in the river. If the water levels are a little low, there's been times we've gotten the full moon or a new moon location or pattern, and those fish will come into the river, the mouth there, and sit. And if there's no rain or anything like that and low water levels, those fish may sit there for a month. But there's been times they'll be there for 2-3 days, and then we get some rain, and boom, they're gone. So that's the only downside to it, is timing it just right and keeping an eye on those water levels. But when they stack in there, again, fish in a barrel. And some of the biggest kings I've ever caught in my life have been from Racine. I've been close to the 30-pound mark quite a few times, and I broke 30 pounds once up there. And numbers of kings, oh my goodness. There's no doubt in my mind, if you need a limit, Racine is what's going to produce it. So there's our top picks for the top 5 southern Wisconsin locations for king salmon. What are some of your favorites that we didn't discuss? Let us know in the comments below. We always love hearing from our viewers and talking fishing with everybody. Hoping everyone's getting excited and pumped up for what has the promising. It's promising, guys and girls. It's promising that this could be a good king run. We've got 2 moon phases in August. We need some west winds, and this could be awesome. So let's keep the faith and hope for the best. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Tony Krizak, and we'll see you next time right back here on Tony's Spot on Fishing.